What if I told you there was a custom keyboard out there with hot swap functionality, 3 connection modes, great stock stabilizers, a volume knob, and it only costs $60? Well, there is. This is the Gamakay LK67. I got my LK67 from Banggood for $60 during a flash sale, which happens quite often. The LK67 has solid and translucent cases. The solid case comes in black, pink or white, and the translucent ones comes in black, blue, green or white. I got the black solid case version for myself. Affiliate links in the description. Inside the packaging, you'll find a manual, a 2.4 GHz dongle, a quite nice braided USB cable, a switch and keycap puller, and this little guy, a spare mode selector switch. I'll get into why they included this later in the review. In case you're wondering, this keyboard does not come with switches or keycaps. I put the switches on my unit but I forgot to take them out before filming. Probably needed more coffee that night. The case is made entirely from plastic and it has some nice curves on the side and the back. The typing angle feels decent, but I wish it was a bit higher towards the back. It has non-adjustable rubber feet, so you're pretty much stuck with the default typing angle. The case feels pretty solid and hefty, even without the switches and keycaps. It weighs 880 grams just for the baboons kit. Over the front of the keyboard, you'll find a plastic plate that's top mounted onto the case. The PCB is hot swap and it supports 3 or 5 pin switches. There's a layer of foam between the top plate and the PCB, which helps improve the sound a little. There's no case foam in here though, so you'll probably want to add that if you want a more muted sound. The PCB has not-facing perky RGB, and you'll also find RGB on a few different areas. The side panel, the back panel, and the translucent ring around the knob. The color on the volume knob can't be customized, but it changes colors depending on the connection mode you're in. Green for the 2.4 GHz dongle, red for wired, or blue for, well, Bluetooth. I leave mine on wired mode most of the time, because I just need an excuse to use my coiled cable. If you do use it wirelessly, the battery life on this keyboard is pretty decent. With RGB on, the 2400 mAh battery easily lasted me 3 to 4 days before it needed a charge. The RGB on this keyboard is not the greatest. It doesn't shine as bright as some other keyboards I have, like the Pro 2. I'm not huge on RGB, so it didn't really affect me. If RGB is your thing, just keep in mind that this is probably not the best option for that. This is a modified 65% keyboard layout with exploded arrow keys and a volume knob. I didn't know this before, but this is probably my favorite keyboard layout. It's minimal, but functional. The exploded arrow keys are very easy to find without looking, and the volume knob just adds so much more practicality. I decided to go with JWICK or JWICK, Ultimate Black Linear switches for this build. I've heard a lot of good things about these budget Thocky switches. This is the V2 version with the new mold and the smoky black housing. They come looped from the factory, and they have a 40 gram actuation and 63.5 gram bottom mount force. For the keycaps, I went with clone dark Olivia keycaps from AliExpress. They are cherry profile, and the set comes with all the keys you could possibly need. The volume knob is made out of plastic. It feels flimsy, but it works great to control the volume and play pause functions on my laptop. It has good grip, but I just didn't like how cheap it looked. I found an aluminum knob for around $2 on AliExpress that looked much better, so I used that instead. Heads up, it took me quite some time to remove the plastic knob and I had to get really physical with it. Don't try this at home. Now let's talk stabilizers. The Gamakay LK67 kit includes some pretty cool looking teal stabilizers. They're plate mounted and holy do they feel and sound good. Here's a preview of what they sound like stock. Not bad, right? Very impressive for stock stabilizers on a budget board. Of course, I wanted to see how good they'd be with some extra tuning. I opened them up and I was pleasantly surprised to find that the feet on the housing didn't really need to be clipped. I didn't have any Cryotox 205G0 with me to loop the housing, so I just went ahead and looped the wire with a good amount of dielectric grease. The spacebar wire didn't really need any balancing as well. Now, being a keyboard enthusiast, I wanted to keep modding this and add some case and PE foam, but something stopped me. Remember this guy from the start? Well, it's a known issue that the mode selector switch is very fragile and it breaks when you try to take apart the case. I think the fact that Gamakay included a replacement piece confirms this is bound to happen if you open up the case. I just didn't feel like risking it right now, so I kind of left it as it is after tuning the stabilizers. Let's get into the sound test. Here's what the Gamakay LK67 sounds like, almost completely stock with some lubes on the stabilizers. Quick one before that, please consider helping the channel out by leaving a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe for more keyboard and tech content. So, what are some things I like and dislike about the keyboard? Let's talk about the pros, and there's only one place I can start, that volume knob. I think it's forever ruined me. It was so convenient having it to control the volume whenever things got too loud or too soft. I even started experiencing phantom knob syndrome when I switched to my other keyboards. I kept reaching for the volume knob only to realize it wasn't there. It was a very weird experience. Besides that, I really like the stock stabilizers. I didn't even feel the need to mod them. They honestly felt great right out of the box. If you're someone who can't be bothered modding your stabilizers, these would get the job done perfectly. Next up, connectivity. Bluetooth, 2.4 GHz, wired, whichever method you prefer, the Gamakay LK67 has you covered. The Bluetooth connection paired quickly and never dropped out on me. I can't say the same for some of my more expensive keyboards. Lastly, value. There's nothing else quite like this. A 65% keyboard with a knob that lets you get into the world of custom keyboards at only $60 is frankly amazing for the community. As for the dislikes, one annoying thing I realized was once it idled for a while, the keyboard powers down even though it's connected with a cable. Pressing the keys did not wake my laptop from sleep. I never really faced this issue with other wired keyboards, so I'm not sure why that's happening here. Besides that, although it's a custom keyboard kit, it's pretty difficult to mod. You risk breaking the connection selector switch easily by taking apart the case, which is what you'll need to do for 90% of the mods anyway. I also found the hot swap sockets to be very tight. I broke 2 switches just trying to remove them, which kind of beats the point of having that hot swap functionality. I may be wrong here. It could just be the switches that I used that were causing this issue. But do sound out in the comments if you have the same tight sockets on your LK67. Another minor thing that bugged me was that there was no battery level indicator on the keyboard or in the software. On Mac OS, it shows the battery level but it's never accurate. You never know when it's gonna die on you if you're using it on battery. So to sum up, who exactly is this keyboard for and should you buy it? I think this fits 2 types of people. First, for those who want a budget custom keyboard that's solid and works great right out of the box. Get some switches you like, put on a cool keycap set, and you have a custom keyboard you can proudly call your own. The LK67 would also be an excellent option for those who really want a budget 65% keyboard with a knob. The next jump up to having a custom 65% keyboard with a knob is the Keychron Q2 or the Zoom 65. And those cost 4 times the price of this after shipping. Sure, there's also the MW65 price in between, but the logistical nightmare of buying and shipping that through Taobao is just not something most people want to go through, especially if you live in Europe. Trust me, I've tried. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with the LK67. It has some shortcomings, but for $60, it's nothing compared to the absolute value and enjoyment you will get out of this budget package. The pros far outweigh the cons, and if you're looking for a budget custom keyboard, I'm sure you feel the same way about it too. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.